Yo, so welcome to another Way Day show. Today I got a special guest. I got Usman on. This guy's a legend on Twitter and Instagram. Like I've been following him for a little while now, and nothing but love for this guy. Like he's always just been respectful when I've brought conversations to him. So I asked him to come on the show today, and he's done it. So Usman, just give us a couple of sentences about yourself, man.
Yeah, no, first and foremost, I appreciate you having me on. Obviously, I've seen the video with my homies on Beaks and Bobs in it. So, I was like, listen, I need to get on, man. I respect your work in it first and foremost. And then, but, look, it's a struggle for both of us, we sport sleeping giants, so to speak, teams in our era that were the legendary teams, man. I used to grow up
Yeah,
on Man United Arsenal rivalry, man. I still remember at secondary school, half the school was Arsenal fans, half the school Man United fans. Mans would just be bantering every single day at break time. But Man United fans, sadly, it's a dark times for both our teams. But at the moment, there's a bit more light on our side. But how long will it last? That is the question.
yes, definitely. So obviously the first thing we're gonna just jump straight into is obviously Ole and United. Are you Ole in or out? Like, what's your thoughts on him first and foremost?
Yeah. Regarding Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I think, to be honest, like I've been Ole in, of course, as all of United fans, you always trust the manager, give them an opportunity. But as soon as we lost that game to Spurs, 6-1, oh my god. I've never felt so much humiliation as a fan in my life. Like, obviously, you're an Arsenal fan. Spurs are a
Yeah,
dead team, innit? You know what I mean?
yeah,
They're not good for anything. Like, in terms of, they don't offer much. They're just a relevant team. I remember losing to Man
yeah,
City 6-1, and it was quite a few years back. I remember exactly where I was at. I know exactly who I was watching the game with. You just don't forget these things. Like, and to lose like that to Spurs and just Ollie stood on the side, not changing anything, no passion, just no fight. But the guy just looked like he was gone. But look, the thing with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he always does it. That when his back's against the wall, he'll pull these results out. We might beat
yeah,
PSG tomorrow, who knows? And it means we're through in the Champions League. So technically, it's not been that bad of a season. In the league, we're a few points off top four. So through in the Champions League, potentially in the challenge of top four, it's not the end of the world. But for me personally, looking at the bigger picture, he's not going to win as a title, man. He's not going to win as a league
yeah,
title. Sorry, yeah, he's not going to win as a league title. The best we can ever do under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is a top four finish and potentially a trophy. And is that what Man United should be aspiring to? Absolutely not. So it's a no-brainer. He needs to leave. The quicker, the sooner, the better. As I said at the start, the light's currently shining on our side, but how long is it going to be there for? Knowing Ollie, probably not long. So, you know what I mean? You got to be realistic as well. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, we've had a couple of decent results, and the Ollie-ins are saying, "Oh, look at the Ollie outs where you guys are hiding." The truth of the matter is, we're just too inconsistent, man. We can go 5 games winning, and then we'll be back to square one when we lose like Burnley or something, who are absolutely awful at the moment. So, yeah, Ollie out every day of the week.
yeah. I mean, like, just at the moment, it's just a bit of like football's just bugging me, obviously, because Arsenal's just like we're just not we're not doing anything at the moment. But I don't know, man. I just feel like you knew. I'd say 15 to 20 years ago, you knew what you was getting from your club. You knew what you was getting from your owners. Now I just feel like these guys are just they're just using our clubs as ways to make money. And do
Absolutely.
they actually care about their clubs? Like, what do you feel about United's owners? Because they've obviously they got Ole in. Personally, that I just thought it was a stopgap, but they've obviously
Yeah.
offered him a contract now, and he's there to stay for a bit. Like, what is your thoughts on the owners?
Yeah, no, look, I don't think you're ever going to find a Manchester United fan that says anything positive about our owners. It's exactly the same for Arsenal. And I think for me personally, our owners are the biggest problem. You can say what you want about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. As I've already said, he needs to leave. But regardless of who the manager is at the moment, we're never really going to get back to the top. You saw under Jose Mourinho, all he wanted, we finished second in one of the seasons. Granted, it was a poor league, but summer comes, I want a centre back. Someone in the board who has no clue about football has said no to Jose Mourinho. I'm not really sure how anyone with absolute no understanding how football works has got the audacity to say no to Jose Mourinho. We haven't got a director of football. We haven't got any direction in terms of recruitment. There's no philosophy. You see with teams like Barca, Bayern Munich, regardless of the manager, Barcelona's a bit of a poor example at the
Yeah.
moment, but we'll use Bayern Munich. You see with Bayern Munich, regardless of the manager, you can see the identity of the club, deep in the roots of the club. And since Sir Alex Ferguson left, our identity is completely gone with him. And at the end of the day, it's the job of the board to try and rediscover that. Have they done that? Absolutely not. The recruiters, players and managers that don't really fit the philosophy of the club, first and foremost. We had David Moyes. Okay, I'll let him off with that because obviously Sir Alex recommended that. From there we went to Van Gaal, just completely random, unexperienced. And from there we went to polar opposite, Jose, the opposite of what Man United's about, playing the youth, playing attacking football. They're bringing Jose Mourinho because they wanted a short-term success. That fails, they sack him. And then obviously now they've got Ali, who, to be fair, does fit the criteria of what it takes to be a Man United manager. Is he the right man? For me personally, not. But it's just so deep-rooted, like the recruitment as well. Which team pays 80 million for Maguire? Do you know what I mean? Like, how many players are we getting ripped off for? There's so many players that we get ripped off for, and how many of them players do we actually get profit on when we sell them? Like, literally none.
Yeah.
There's, if you look at the sort of recouping of money, is borderline disgraceful. Like, it's so bad. I'm not an accountant, but I can tell you that we're beyond negative when it comes to recouping money. We just about recoup money for Lukaku. That's probably the only player I can think of in recent times that we've sold him for a similar price to what we paid from. Every single other player is well below what we paid for. Maguire, for example, how on earth how are we bought him for 80 million? Like, you've got other teams paying half the money for way better defenders. There's so many players that we've just bought. Fred, 50 million. Again, don't get me wrong, he's been brilliant of late, and I'm a fan of Fred, but he's never a 50 million. It's just ridiculous.
Man City were going after him as well, weren't they? So
yeah,
there is a
I
bit of.
suppose that kind
I
of
think
probably put the
like
price up a
football's just
bit.
gone crazy with the prices as well, hasn't it? Like I just feel like if a team says that they want a player and they feel like he is worth that, then it probably doesn't seem silly at the time until
Well, I'll give you
they
another
start
example.
doing making mistakes, isn't it? Then
Yeah, no, I suppose.
okay,
But even with this transfer window now, like, everyone's going to be singing about Cavani, and rightfully so. He's kind of clutched the game for us. But Cavani was available since what, January maybe? Like, he's been
I
available.
think
since
Cavani was a panic buy,
No, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
and
We've
it's
got
just
absolutely
it's
zero
worked
structure.
out. And the funny thing is, if it was Sir Alex, we wouldn't be calling that a panic buy. We'd be
Oh yeah,
saying
obviously.
that that's a piece of brilliance. It was the same with Henrik Larsson when they brought in Henrik
Yeah.
Larsson. He was brought in for a reason, but I just feel like Cavani it was a panic, or it's not even a buy, but it's a panic bringing in. But it could work out. It could work out. And what do you feel about Lukaku? Because I know you just mentioned it like earlier, but was that like selling him? Like, were you a fan? Not a
Well,
fan?
for me personally, I actually agree with selling Lukaku. I think, as someone who's watched him, look, statistically, people are going to look at it statistically because, people always judge on stats these days. People are going to say, look, he's done brilliant at Inter Milan. Statistically, he was fantastic, at Manchester United in terms of his goal return. It's not just about stats for me. You've got to have the full package at Manchester United. Fair play to him. He delivered in some moments. But even then, you buy Lukaku and then you don't even play to his strengths. We don't buy people that can, play to his strengths. We've got no one who can cross the ball in.
Yeah.
You know how much of a bully he is in the air, and he's showing you at Inter Milan now. We've got people with actually genuine quality in the wings to bring, get the ball into him. You don't even play to his strengths. Like, there's no, like, you buy Lukaku and then you buy someone that's not going to compliment him. It's like, we bought Pogba, and I don't want to go down the route of unlocking Pogba nonsense, but it's like there's no sort of cohesion in the signings. I would say under Oli we seem to have a bit more structure in the signings. I don't know if that's down to him or the board, but the signings do make more sense. We got Bruno in, got Van der Beek in for 70 million, like practically 75 million for 75 million for Bruno and Van der Beek.
Oh, for both. Okay,
yeah, give or take, 80 million, whatever. Which for us is ridiculously good business. Obviously, Tellez was very cheap, 15 million. Quality player Cavani on a free, so we've done a bit of good business. Maguire extortion and Wan-Bissaka good signing. So we made some good signings of late, but even the structure of the signings, like if you come back to the Wan-Bissaka one, it took us a month to sign him. There was nobody else in for him. We spent a month haggling over 5 million, right? And then we ended up paying the price that they initially asked for. So we just wasted a month buying him. Then we wasted another month buying Maguire. And then we waited until the last day to buy Cavani, who was available from day one. Cavani has been a free agent since January.
Yeah.
We waited till the deadline day to sign him, which, like you said, panic buy shows a lack of structure from the board in terms of recruitment. And then Tellez, another free signing practically. He has no contract left. And we went into the deadline day. He could have been playing the first couple of games of the season. Him and Cavani could have been integrated to the squad and they could have been starting. Look, I just think in terms of the board, there's absolutely no structure. But just to come back on the question, which is of course about Lukaku, I think it was the right decision because it's showcase. We've seen it. It has improved Marcel, although at the moment it's been woeful. Him and Rashford have benefited a lot. It's also given an opportunity for Greenwood to come out as well and play more minutes. I think in the grand scheme of things, it probably was the right decision. I personally was happy with Lukaku being so because I was done with this Timberland touch, man. You seen all the memes on man's wearing Timberland. I was so done with this guy's touch. People don't watch him week in, week out. You'd see the clips of his touch. But if you actually watched him, he was so bad at his build-up, his generic, like his overall play was terrible. Like goal scoring, don't get me wrong, he was quality, but you got to do more at Man United, man. You're more than just a goal scorer at Man United. You've got to be able to have a full package, and Lukaku did not suit what we were trying to do, man. So it was the right thing to sell him.
Last question. Obviously, now we're going to take out Fernandes, but I asked Beaks this a couple of weeks ago. Big up Beaks Corner. You spent 1 billion. 1 billion. Yeah. He couldn't. Obviously now we would say Fernandes is probably obviously being worth it, but in terms of a player that you've actually paid a transfer fee for, out of that £1 billion, how many players can you pick out that you said, okay, I'm happy with that signing? He's given us what we've paid for. And obviously we can say Fernandes now, but if we take Fernandes away, how many more players can you say you was happy with since Sir Alex has left?
Is that within the 8 years, isn't it? I would imagine, isn't it?
Yeah, since he retired.
Well, to be, I'm trying to make a case for stuff. I can't do it. I've got to feel sorry for Mata. I just want to throw that out there from the start. Mata should have been good enough because in terms of the price we paid for him, he's an absolute bargain. But obviously, our managers are completely inept. They've played him on the right wing. So if they actually played Mata in number 10, what Bruno's doing now is what Mata would have been doing that. He was absolute sensation. He got Player of the Year at Chelsea. For whatever reason, Jose Mourinho pushed him out of the team. Obviously we don't know the story behind that. But if we played him at number 10, he could have been a legend at the club. But regardless, minus obviously you said no Bruno, but Zlatan was obviously free, so he doesn't even go into that. So I can't even think of one player really. Pogba, to be fair to him, I know a lot of people say he's a flop, but he actually had a very good season. He's had two good seasons, and I know people love the stats, but one of the seasons he practically carried the team, but the team was shocking. He got 50. The season he was taking all the pens, he got like 15 goals, 16 assists in one season, and no one even mentions it. Like, don't get me wrong, he's not been as good as what I would have expected from him consistently, but he was 80 million. He's not doing 80 million worth, so I can't even make a case for him really. He was 89 million even. So there's literally no one. The only one
crazy, isn't it?
Is maybe Zlatan, but he's a free, so you can't even.
Literally, it's either free transfers because Ibra as well.
Yeah, exactly. Ibra's been all right,
but apart from Fernandes, it's just which shows again because I honestly think if Ferguson was in charge, you would have got Sancho because
absolutely, we would have got Haaland as well. 100%.
Like the whole Sancho thing, he's been respectful. He never pushed for a move. I think if Ferguson was there, he maybe done more to try and leave, but he didn't. So or it was just to get all the fans excited, or they were never really in for him as such because there was commentators and pundits and stuff saying he was 100% at United, but it just never materialized. And I think that's to do with, like you saying, the whole board and maybe looking at him thinking, do I want to play for Ole? Don't know. I think that was the massive problem that Moyes had, is that anyone that he's gone to sign probably just turned around and said, who's this? Like, do I want to play even though it's Man United? It's like, who are you, sort of thing. But yeah, it's crazy. We'll continue on Man United in a couple of weeks and see how further down the line both teams are. Um, so just a crazy, not a crazy question, but what is the dumbest football comment you've heard like on Twitter? Because like I've just been reading some crazy things out there recently. Yeah, I just want to know what the craziest one you've heard
Oh, bloody
recently.
hell, you've caught me off guard there. Like, I've not got any top of my. There's been some thick comments I've seen, man. Like, look, one just again, this is probably not the crazy. It's not the craziest thing, but a lot of United fans, obviously Ronaldo linked back to Manchester United as always. A lot of United fans said they don't want Cristiano Ronaldo. Actually, Daniel, who's just been on, saying that Ronaldo can't cut in the Premier League. He's not going to be able to cut in the Premier League. So
Yeah, no, I
that's
don't
going to
agree
come
with
up with the thickest comments I've ever heard. Like, come on, man, it's Cristiano Ronaldo. He can do whatever he wants, mate. You know what I mean? It's like he's a natural goal. I'm trying to think. Give me one. Let me see if I can think of one off the top of what you said. There's a few Arsenal ones in it. St. Jack is better.
Yeah, no,
Pog's
I
better.
mean, like, just like recently, I saw like people just saying anything bad about Fernandez. Like, I'm just like, wait, this guy saved you for what 8 of the 9 games you've played or whatever it is.
Yeah,
Like, it's just like when I see people like you're. It's okay to have opinions, and that's why I'm not one. I'm not a big, as I was saying on your show earlier. I'm not one for abusing my team because it's just pointless. Like,
yeah,
what are you achieving out of abusing a team? You just get behind them. Obviously, you could be disappointed, you could be angry, you could be whatever, but physically, not physically, but just going on Twitter and just abusing your team. And yeah, just recently, just seeing that whole Fernandez thing, and like, I can't say I've seen Fernandez play bad as such, but the first half of the Everton game before he obviously got the assist in the goal,
yeah,
and during the Arsenal game, he reminds me of when Ozil was on form. That he doesn't just like people want these players. They want their flair players to be running about doing the madness.
yeah,
Like, we're not Liverpool, we're not Klopp. Like, these players don't just go 100 miles an hour all the time. And there was a couple of times where he did just let somebody run off him. And like, you're thinking, why have you done that? But at the same time, if he has gone to follow that person back, tires himself out, when you need him going forward, he's not going to be there.
yeah. No.
So, and I mean, that was just me just being picky. Like, that was me physically looking for something to say bad about Fernandez. Like, but again, it's just not even a legitimate argument.
Yeah,
That was
but
just
look,
me just
I have
being.
seen comments from certain United fans saying that
Yeah,
he's not nothing special. He's not a baller. This whole sort of Pogba Fernandez narrative, I don't
yeah,
understand. I think it's so pathetic. Like at the end of the day, they both play for the same team. Why does like you get the Pogba FC brigade or Pogba's better than Bruno? I don't care if Bruno does X one. It's just weird. It's just, like they play for the same team. I don't understand why people support players. You support the team at the end of the day. There's too
yeah,
many people on social media. I think that in those comments, I've seen it so much. Like, oh, like for example, if someone does something, they'll be like, oh, if that was Pogba, X, Y, and Z, like you would have got X, Y, and Z. Criticism. It's just constant. Look, I'm not gonna lie. I've been guilty of saying that shit as well. I'm not gonna lie, but I say it for
yeah,
banter. But there's some people out there that genuinely believe like that they're the victim all the time. Like especially like we just had a Liverpool fan on talking about injuries. I know you kind of agreed with what he said,
yeah.
but it's like the Liverpool fans love to play the victim. They got a couple of injuries.
No, I did. I
Grant,
wasn't agreeing with him. I was against him. Remember, I
oh,
was like,
sorry.
he just yeah. I was just it
There was
was
a
a
few people
he should
with
have.
him. Like it was probably kid, but like
Yeah,
Daniel was with him. But the point is like. You're gonna get injuries in football. You're gonna see
that's
Liverpool
it.
fans putting out a petition. The dumbest comments is probably Liverpool fans putting out a petition against Pickford to get him banned for life and shit like that because of his challenge
Oh
on
man,
Van
like
Dijk. So that kind of stuff is pathetic. Like it was disgusting by Pickford to make that challenge on Van Dijk. But come on, man, it's part of football. And at the end of the day, it's gonna happen, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? You can't just be like constantly assuming that the world's against you. Do you know what I mean? There's too much of that on social media. Like, oh, everyone's against us. Trying to be that sort of victim. Because there's too much. I want to play the victim cards on Twitter, man. It's just pathetic, isn't it? Really?
it is weird because like sometimes like social media is just like what is it there for? But obviously, if it wasn't there, I wouldn't like we wouldn't be having this conversation. Like I
Yeah.
wouldn't have never like I wouldn't have spoken to you. I wouldn't have ever had a chance to have a conversation with you. So obviously it does work, but like you said, it just breeds foolishness. And like I'm all for the banter. Like you can banter me all day, like about Arsenal. It's not gonna bother me because like I'm not stupid. I can see it for myself in it. So obviously I want to protect my team because that's my team. But I'm not gonna just be out there just spending hours slating my team. Like, and sometimes I just think it's like that's what my main issue with Arsenal fan TV is that I feel like they've made us into a banter club
It's true that I
because
think I
like
definitely
we
believe that.
had we've got fans from other teams actually physically subscribing, and that's their highlight of their weekend, going to watch Arsenal fans abuse Arsenal. So that is my main problem with them. And shout out to everybody that works on there. Like they're doing an amazing job. Like they've got mad amount of subscribers and everybody knows them. But I think they sort of were the first to come out and abuse their team and get fame from it. And now I think everybody is trying to do the thing instead of just being real. Like
Everyone's chasing clout in
just
it, basically. Innit?
yeah, just say what you feel in it. Like just say what you feel. But yeah, on to the next one. Like this one again is just random. But have you been subjected to racism or discrimination with regards to football? Because obviously we know in the workplace and other places it probably happens to us all the time, innit? But have you heard it at football? Has it
Um,
happened to you at football?
yeah, to be honest, I think being an ethnic minority, you kind of get that sort of label because I'm a coach actually by a trade, so I get it quite a lot
Oh,
in terms of race. Because obviously I'm Pakistani in it first and foremost, and then do you know what I mean? And they're like, "What is this taxi driver doing?" And then you get flipping comments like, you know what I'm saying, like, "Oh, my man should be doing like so." I don't know, any stereotypical thing that you just salty with the Asian. Like I've had it all in it. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just a stand. You just get used to it. Like obviously, don't get me wrong, it doesn't affect me because I don't really acknowledge it anymore because like it's just like it's not as frequent as it used to be. Sunday leagues are worse, and I don't know if you played Sunday league at all yourself,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
as a coach at Sunday league, they're like, "What is this Asian guy coaching? Yeah, I got a clue what he's doing. Man should be doing taxi, or man should be doing, I don't know, a doctor." Not that that's an insult. I don't know why they use that. I was like, "Yeah, okay, fair enough, I'll take that one." But they'll be using any stereotypical thing. I don't know if they think, "Oh, it's getting in my head" or something. But yeah, it's just one of the things, like for me personally, the main issue for me is representation when we talk about racism or discrimination. And I spoke about this with Bob's on our platform as well. Like representation is so key. As an Asian lad myself, there's absolutely zero representation of any Asians in football. You got Hamza Chowdhury at Leicester, but in terms of like top level
I mean, if you never
Asian
heard his
players,
name, if you looked at him, you wouldn't know.
no, exactly, exactly.
Like I would have thought he
You
was black until I saw his name.
no,
To be
that's I
honest,
genuinely thought he's black. I think he's
I thought he was black until I saw his name.
I think he's Bengali. I don't even know actually.
Yeah,
I think he's Pakistani. I think he's Bengali. But obviously, when I say Asian, I mean Pakistani, Indian, and Sri
yeah,
Lankan, and obviously Indian. I've said Indian twice, Bangladeshi. So that kind of region within Asia in particular. But it's just one of them things. Without representation, you're always going to be the outsider. Obviously, it's the same in terms of coaches. There's no elite, or in their eyes, there's no elite black coaches. So as a young lad or, as a coach potentially, it's difficult to see yourself in the game in that sense because unless you're good enough to make it as a player, you need to be a level of Messi to get it, even a notice for like some
yeah,
dead team in terms of a trial. And I think that's the thing with, for me personally, that I've seen a lot. I've had experiences with scouts that have said certain things that they don't think is racism, but obviously I know it's racism because for me
yeah,
personally, hearing the scouts say shit like, "Oh, don't go to X, Y, and Z area to watch their games because it's predominantly Africans or predominantly
yeah,
Asians." They're not known for having talent, so to speak, or having shit like, "Oh, go to this area because it's full of black athletes, so they're probably going to be physically good." In terms of the physique, they're going to be good. They're going to have the build up what scouts look for as in terms of what's their go-to, because obviously they have like a checklist in it when they go into games and shit. English scouts anyways, the ones I've met, they'll have a checklist that, oh, we want someone that's physical, good on the most generic, basic shit.
Yeah, it's just
Physical, good on the ball, his ability to turn. This is the most basic shit that they always come up with, and just all that stuff. And obviously, you kind of they automatically affiliate that with a black athlete in it because generically they tend to be like that, but they just completely disregard everything else. Like with Pogba, like when Pogba has a good game, they'll always say he was powerful, he was physical, and it's his wording that they don't understand that is racist because you're automatically affiliating that with Pogba. Why can't he be technically gifted? Why can't he be brilliant on the ball? And that's why I've sort of been subjected to racism a lot because I think they just don't realize that it's racist because in their eyes they think, oh, there's nothing wrong with that. But if I said about a white or Caucasian lad, oh, he's just physically gifted, or
yeah,
but when my man's like, for example, Foden's like unbelievably good technically, or his dribbling ability is fantastic, it never gets mentioned. Pogba never, his passing range gets mentioned here and there, but if you watch the terminology that they use, and that's the problem, you see that on TV and then it just gets flooded down, and then obviously those guys, you know, Sunday League, we get it all the time, and this flipping taxi driver or this black guy,
yeah.
or get him in your team, he's physically, look, he's physically and whatnot, he's powerful. You know what I mean? It's just all stereotypes, isn't it?
It was crazy because yeah, like what you're saying, the England game the other day, and they talk about Calvin Lewin, and I swear
I
to
didn't
you, they
watch the
never,
game, but I guarantee they
yeah,
mentioned
they
it.
never, they never mentioned once how many goals the guy has scored in like last season and to the end of, sorry, the end of last season and start of this season, but they mentioned 6 times that he's into fashion.
No, they
Six
didn't.
times. 6 times during the match, they mentioned that
No
this guy
way.
was into fashion and that he dresses a bit quirky and stuff like that. What's that got to do with the guy's footballing ability? Considering he's what is he, second or third highest scoring English striker at
Yeah,
the
three.
moment, and all they could come up with is that he has fashionable clothes. And I remember like texting like sending a WhatsApp message to like my football team, like, and
Yeah.
just like I just said, has anybody heard this? And like one person was like, yeah, he's literally mentioned it 6 times, and I'm like, why have you not mentioned that this guy is actually good at football? Why are you fixated on the guy's clothes when he's not even wearing those clothes now? He's wearing an England kit. Like, why are you talking about it? And
It's cultural differences. This is what I mean. They can't. And obviously, don't want to come onto the Cavani thing because obviously that's completely off topic. Well, I suppose it's
yeah,
not off topic, but in terms of like even with Sterling, with Rashford, Pogba, a lot of these young black athletes, they get branded as nuisances because in Pogba's case, because he's dancing at his brother's wedding, like how ridiculous can you? Apparently, dancing at your brother's wedding is seen as deemed as not okay, and
I
they
think
don't
it's just
understand the culture. That's part of
the
African
fact
culture. It's
the way
just
they're carrying on about Greenwood and Foden, like they were at the same
a different
party
energy,
doing the same
bro.
thing.
Completely different energy. It's ugh.
The same place do the same thing, and it's kind of just being swept under the carpet. Even Grealish the other day pleaded guilty to driving offences,
Well,
and
he
all
broke the lockdown rules and crashed his car as
yeah,
well, from what I'm aware of. And like he did it twice, not once. Done it 2 times. You barely hear about it because let's be real,
and
because
when you're
he's white.
reading it, all they got to when they got to the end, they just mentioned that he was the man of the match for England in the last 2 games. I'm like, this guy's pleaded guilty to it, and you're
Bro,
not sort of
can you
condemning
imagine that
him.
was Rashford? Can you imagine the title would have been um, campaign, a food
Yeah.
campaigner crashes car in
Listen,
spare
Jermaine Pennant
time
had to
or
wear a tag for the same thing.
yeah, like come on, man. Like they would have completely lambasted his campaign just because of this.
Yeah.
Like if he like he bought a house for his family, right? And he had to come out and make a statement. Saying,
Mhm.
well, he didn't have to, but
Yeah.
man just wanted to shoot them down and say, look, yeah, I made a conscious decision to obviously invest in property to set up my family financially for life. The fact that he's even having to come out and say that, who like the man's bought a house. Why does he need to?
Yeah.
Is he not allowed to buy houses? Like, just don't like. Where do you want him to sleep in Carrington? Like, it's just these guys are just nitpicking, man. And this is the problem. Like, obviously, to answer the question in terms of racism and discrimination, a lot of it is fed by the media. They just brainwash people,
Yeah.
yeah. And people will read that Rashford bit and think, obviously, most people have a bit of common sense and say, look what the good he's doing.
Yeah,
But because he's doing so good, he's a young black athlete and he's doing fantastic work. People are speaking about him in high regards. They don't want to see, they don't want that affiliated to a black athlete. It's as simple as that. And they want to tear him down as much as they can. Obviously, they can't because he's at the moment he's practically perfect, really. So
yeah,
they tried it with Sterling. Obviously, Sterling shot back at him eventually, but this is the thing, like the media try and paint young athletes, especially of that of ethnic minority, in a certain light. You know, you've seen it with Lewis Hamilton as well. How much
yeah.
shit has he had to deal with in his sport? Like,
It's just with that one, it's just like it's just not even worth it, innit? Like they keep saying the best excuse they've got is about him trying to avoid taxes and stuff. When Cristiano Ronaldo,
everyone's
Lionel
doing it.
Messi, the best two players in the world ever, football in history, doing the same thing, and no one ever mentions it.
Yeah,
Um, but just quickly, just last thing on the racism, and like we're both football coaches, so like I didn't know he was a football coach, but now I know. But I grew up in Tottenham, and like all the main football coaches, all the ones that everybody knew were black.
yeah,
And like I saying, it's about representation and stuff. But how has Steven Gerrard, Mikel Arteta, and Frank Lampard, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, how are these four people got these massive jobs
Mhm.
when they done nothing before? You know, Lampard probably done the best by doing half decent job at Derby,
Yeah.
but Solskjaer got relegated.
But Solskjaer won the league at Mold technically, although it's
Yeah,
a
but
dead team. It's I'll
yeah, like
touch
the
on
only
shortly
team
in it,
there.
but well, Lampard didn't do good at Derby because like
Yeah,
my
like
boy, my boys that sport Derby, obviously they're from those ends. They're
yeah,
like that team was expected to get promoted, and my man just fluffed it in the playoffs. It wasn't like he came into a team that was struggling, and you know there was no expectation of him doing well. You know they were expected to get into that position, so he did. It's basically Wenger getting top four. You know you'd
yeah,
expect that from us. You know in that period where you lot were getting top four, etc. consistently. It was just a bare minimum what they expected. If anything,
yeah,
they were expecting promotion. That was that, and you know, sort of target for the season. But I suppose that's gonna be the same for everyone. So I wouldn't say he did anything brilliant that you think, oh wow, he's such a fantastic, you know, manager. He deserves to be at Chelsea because he doesn't deserve to be there. To be fair to Gerrard, he has done a brilliant job at Rangers, so I can't knock him.
yeah.
But
No, obviously now because I was about to
Arteta,
say yeah,
Oli have just been gifted jobs that are
gifted.
like you just said, like you've got all the coaches within your vicinity are black coaches. How many black coaches are at the top of the game?
Yeah,
Just none. Like
and
even
I'm just
like
wondering if that's why people like Rio Ferdinand and players like that ever are, and sort of these
well,
guys
apparently
just have just
Rio
never.
said he's not even going to bother because he's
Yeah,
not going to get any opportunities. You see with Sol Campbell again. I don't know if Sol Campbell's a good coach, but
I know, but with Sol Campbell, that one bugs me a bit because I think like he just comes across like a bit of an asshole.
he
So
does come
I'm
across like
quite
a prick.
yeah.
Like the comments he made
So I
about
think
being a
that's
captain
what.
and stuff. Yeah,
Yes, I think that's probably why he's not getting the chances. Where he might be good, but I think he's not getting the chances because he comes across as a bit of an arrogant one. And
yeah. Just
fair play to him. Footballing wise, you guys wanted him, we got him. He won the double. So you know, but yeah, I just think he's a bit of an arrogant one, and I think that's why he obviously hasn't been getting the jobs. So next question: favorite footballer of all time?
oh,
Because this one's a bit weird. Not weird, but like everyone was talking about saying, obviously, rest in peace, Maradona and that. But I've never watched him play.
I've never seen it. But I've
Like
seen
I'm only
clips.
watching videos. So for
Yeah.
people our age and stuff and younger to say he was the best and stuff like
Right.
that, like you never watched him play. Like unless you're
Right.
saying that you
I'm
watch
torn between
videos.
two people. I'm not gonna say the generic because realistically, I would say Messi, but I'm not gonna say Messi. And I'll tell you who I'm gonna. There's two people for different reasons, and one of you probably wouldn't respect. But the first one, obvious one, it has to be Zinedine Zidane. Um,
Yeah,
like, look, I know he's probably not the best, but because he's definitely up there. But just for me personally, man, I just love the guy, man. Like, he's just class, man. He's just everything that he done with the ball. Just the way he just run the game, especially for France as well, was so good, obviously with the head put and stuff. But
Yeah,
just on France, the way he demolished England, like when the game was done, like everyone was like, "Oh, England are through," and then Zidane was like, "Not today, brother, not today." But like, just he's just iconic, man. I just love the guy that he was just elegant on the ball. You know, he's just everything good about football. Obviously, there's so many others I can say, Ronaldinho, etc.
yeah,
The other one, it's not the favorite. Obviously, it's not my favorite. I don't want to say Man United player for obvious reasons, but he's not my favorite all time. But a player that I absolutely loved, it was Kaka. Like I loved
yeah.
Kaka. He absolutely violated us so many times in that AC Milan show. Like man just killed us on his own. Like there's just something about him. Again, another guy just
I think the
drifting past
biggest
players.
violation I seen was the real Ronaldo when he came to Old
Yeah,
Trafford.
I was gonna R9 as well, man. Yeah, obviously that hat trick that he bagged against. But favorite all time. Obviously, I had to give a special mention to them, but I
You
think
gotta go
Ronald,
with a Man United player, man. You got it.
I'm gonna have to, innit?
Yeah.
But I feel like, you know what? I'm gonna say my favorite Man United player of all time. I'm gonna give that one, and it's gotta be Wayne Rooney for me. Like
Okay.
I
Cool.
genuinely think he's the most underappreciated England player in a long time. Like obviously towards the end of his, suppose he's still playing, isn't he? But towards the end of his tenure at Man United, massively disrespected by the fan base. I suppose I was critical of him as well to an extent, but what he's done at the club, like obviously leading goal scorer, and the guy played everywhere, man. Like, he was
I think he's
absolutely
the best
phenomenal.
English player of my lifetime, Wayne Rooney.
Yeah, for me, I know people will say scores, but for me, it's Rooney. Like I just don't think he gets the flowers that he deserves. People just don't rate him. Another one is Beckham. You don't get rated either.
I don't. You know what I don't get? I don't get the disrespect for Beckham because I don't think I've ever seen a person that hits 97 to 100% of accurate crosses that he
Bro,
takes.
Beckham
I
is
don't, from
probably the
any
greatest
position.
without.
I know that people are talking about Kevin De Bruyne and stuff now, but
De
I
Bruyne
don't
is
think
not
I've
on
seen.
Beckham, but De Bruyne is not
I don't
because
think
Trent's
I've
not.
ever. I don't think I've ever seen anything like David Beckham in terms of a cross and free kick deliveries. I know people are going to start talking about Ward Prowse now, but
Oh, come on, man.
David
Don't
Beckham.
disrespect Beckham like that, man. Like
Beckham
these
is
people
one
that
of
I
my
mentioned.
favorite players, to be fair.
Yeah, no, I've given you about 10 names, but I'm gonna stick to Wayne Rooney. I know that's not just because he's a Man United player, but it's probably R9 Ronaldo, to be honest. If I was say all time, it's probably R9 Ronaldo, but Man United player has to be Rooney for me. Like I just think massively disrespected. Yo, the guy played in every single position. He played in net as well. Like he would have played in defense if he had to. Man's played everywhere. So yeah, for me personally, Rooney. Who's yours? Is gonna say Henry, obviously, aren't you? Surely.
You know what? I'm not going to say Omri. I'll say Ian Wright.
Oh wow, okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Ian Wright. He's the one that, obviously, because of my age, he was obviously just before Thierry,
Yeah.
but he was the one that everyone wanted to be in the playground in terms of just his charisma and stuff. And even people do cuss him now, but I think there are a lot of people that they've just got a lot of time for him because he just loves doing what he's
He's a
doing.
legend, man. I love that guy.
Yeah, if we're gonna give the other ones, so Zidane and Del Piero as well, like
Yeah, Del Piero.
because
My brother's
Juventus
favorite
is
is Del
like
Piero.
my second team, so Zidane and Del Piero, Roberto Baggio as well had a lot of time for. But yeah, I just want to quickly go back to the Messi Ronaldo argument. Obviously, they're just completely different players, but
Yeah.
if I had to choose out of the two for who I thought was the best footballer, I would say Messi. And the only reason why I would say Messi is because I think Messi is more natural. I think Ronaldo has had to work to get to where he is. I don't think
Yeah.
obviously Messi has to train and stuff, but I don't think I've ever felt like Messi has had to try hard to do what he does.
It's
Like I've
God gifted, isn't it?
Yeah, like I just feel like Ronaldo is always working to get to where he is and to do what he does. Obviously, he's got to go down as the greatest goal scorer ever. I
Yeah.
think Ronaldo. I think he's going to carry on longer than Messi. He's just going to just keep going.
Yeah, 100%.
But I feel like Messi is just more of a naturally gifted and started like just from the first game he played for Barcelona. Everybody saw what he could do. With Ronaldo, we saw his quality, but it's whether Sir Alex could kick the stepovers out of him. If
Yeah,
he
yeah.
could get rid of those stepovers,
Those
which is new,
stepovers, you're
that hit,
giving Arsenal
yeah.
defenders nightmares,
Oh
man.
mate, that was it. Justin
When
Hoyt
man was
that time.
dancing and you had to kick him under the
Oh
feet and had to
mate,
touch him out. Oh god.
that's why I actually go Ashley Cole goes down as my best left back ever, because the way he handled Ronaldo for Arsenal and in the England shirt when they play Portugal, I don't think anybody's at that time when Ronaldo was a out and out winger and
Yeah, yeah,
was
yeah.
flying. I don't think anyone dealt with him as
Yeah,
much
Ashley
as
Cole's a bad man.
Ashley
He's bad.
Cole. So obviously you're doing your thing right now, and obviously I spoke to Bits and Bobs, and he just told me just to do it. But what's your sort of what advice would you give to anybody wanting to get into podcasting and YouTube and doing what
Yeah,
you
and
do?
obviously Bob's, he's kind of started newly anyways. Obviously we took him onto our platform as well, and now he's got
Yeah,
that sort of break. But I think for me personally, like, I kind of struggle with this myself because sometimes you kind of get lost in the numbers and like, oh, I need to look at X, X, Y, and Z is doing this kind of numbers. I've got more subs, I should be doing more. And I've been guilty of that. So the advice that, I would give to anyone starting up is you've got to enjoy it, man. Like, generally, look, at the end of the day, our community is very small, the one that I've currently got. Our community is very small in terms of viewership, but we've got a core sort of fan base and extent. We're always going to guarantee get people to tune in, etc. But it's just about enjoying it. Man. At the end of the day, we enjoy making the content. That, the podcast that you just feature on now. Myself and the other lads that are regulars on that, we just enjoy having that banter. Every Monday we know that all the lads are going to be on. Well, I say that it's hard to get hold of Arsenal these days because God knows where they are. The phones are turned off, but yeah, you have to enjoy the content. If you're not enjoying making it, it's going to be difficult because I've started to do daily content, and the only
Are you
reason I
doing
do it
daily
is because
content
it's
now
a
as well?
hobby
Yeah,
for me. Yeah,
yeah,
I've been doing daily content for 4 months now. I barely miss a day. Like I miss a day here and there when you got a family thing going on or whatever. But in general, it's like it's a hobby, isn't it? Basically, it's like people go to gym. Obviously, I try to get you go to gym as well. But it's like that for me. Like I generally enjoy talking
yeah,
to other like-minded fans. And I don't know. I haven't got a count at the top of my head, but the amount of people that I met just by doing the YouTube within the community, doing the podcasting and stuff. We've built a community by without even meeting half the people, obviously yourself, without being included in that. And there's so many people that you meet from like-minded football fans, and it is a community in the day if you're in the right
yeah,
place. So if you want to be a part of a community, if you haven't got the time to obviously start up your own podcast and your own YouTube channel, by all means try to join one, try to join a team,
yeah,
because at the end of the day it does become like a little family. Like what I've got with Beaks and obviously Benji, Kojo, and obviously Bob's to an extent. It's like a family really, because we all like straight up to each other. We're all Man United fans as well. We're obviously talking about Man United all the time, but in general, just the group chat and everything, everyone's like supporting each other's content and that kind of thing. And that's what I would say. Right, end of the day, enjoy it first and foremost. If you're not enjoying it, then it's not gonna last, and then you're not doing it right. For me personally.
cool. And last question. So, what does the future hold for you? And like, now I know that it is football coaching. Like, what is your dream football coaching job? Because you know what, my dream has always been to just start an academy for underprivileged
Oh wow.
kids and stuff. So that's what I'm striving to. But what about yourself?
Yeah, like for me, first and foremost, that's quality. Like, obviously, wish you all the best with that. You know what I mean? Like, we need more of that. I know, obviously, Coach. I don't know if you know who Coach is, but he does a lot of coaching down
Yeah,
south as well, and he does something similar to what you just mentioned there. Obviously, not his own academy, but a lot of good work in the community. But for me personally, I want to get into journalism,
yeah.
sports journalism. I did a placement on BBC last year. So
How
for
did that go?
about 3 months or something, 3 month placement
Yeah.
on BBC. I'm from Sheffield, so BBC Radio Sheffield. Since then I've done a lot of work at. I work at Sheffield United, so Sheffield United Community Foundation. So,
Okay.
yes, I've done a lot of podcasting for them, that kind of thing. Obviously, social media, interviewing players. They're not first team players, but like obviously academy players, etc. But that's kind of the route where I see myself long term. Obviously the YouTube for me personally has always been a hobby. Like I know a lot of people are trying to monetize or whatever, each to their own, and good luck to them. But for me, I only started the YouTube to improve my ability to speak on camera, obviously gain more experience. So that was generally the only reason to do it. Like from my first video to where I'm at now, like it's night and day in terms of my confidence. So that was the motivation. In terms of what the future holds, good question. Hopefully something in journalism. That's the aim. Obviously, I know a lot of people that do a lot of reporting journalism, obviously interviewing the managers and that kind of thing. Although I would love to do that, I think I'm more like into like the radio side of it, the podcast, that kind of thing. So, you know, BBC Radio 5 Live or something along those lines, and then to hit me up in it. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Obviously, you just gotta keep working hard in it. You know what I mean? It's all about that determination and consistency.
Yeah. So last year, obviously that was the last question, but just
Yeah.
now you've touched on that. Obviously there's been a massive increase in obviously ethnic minorities on TV in terms of
Yeah,
football. Anyway, how are you feeling about that? Are you more of it's good to see it, or do you hope that they're getting those jobs because of their ability and not just
yeah.
because?
No, there's always that worry that's a tick box in it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, there's always that concern. However, like, first and foremost, it's only going to be a positive. And you know, I spoke
yeah,
about representation when we was speaking about racism briefly.
yeah,
And for me personally, like the most important thing is representation in any walk in life, not in just our field of what we're currently at the moment, in terms of podcasting or coaching or whatever it may be, but like in any walk of life, if you see, you know, if you have a young kid, I teach kids basically at school,
mm,
PE or whatever. So like, if you have a young kid and they don't see, you know, in Lewis Hamilton's case, he was the first black Formula One driver, like in terms of to make it and to actually do
yeah,
something, like, achieve something. You know, if you're ever a young lad that you have that aspirations, and you look at prior to Lewis Hamilton's case, who's he looking up to? He absolutely nobody. He had to be the difference. He's the difference now. He's the reason that there might be other young black kids that be like, no, I want to be a driver. Look what Lewis Hamilton's done for the sport, and that's because of him. He's inspired the next generation. So I think for us to see, other sort of ethnic minorities or BAME, so to speak, people on TV more frequently, it's only a positive. At the end of the day, I champion that. You know, I support their content 110% because if anything, it makes me proud because they're breaking the mold.
yeah.
You know, obviously they're not the first to do it, but they can be the Lewis Hamiltons of our industry if they continue to do that. You know, you see with Chunks and Philly, for example, I don't know if you watched either of them, but Chunks in
Yeah.
particular, well, I suppose Philly as well, but them two guys, they're on Sky Sports now. Well, Chunks in particular is on Sky Sports now. You know, man's just chilling in his heart, like just a normal lad from London. Do you know what I mean? From the States, so to speak. He's still true to himself in terms of the way he speaks. Even with Troops, to an extent, obviously, he spoke for on TV, but Troops is very important. Like at the end of the day, you know, look at the way he talks. Would you ever affiliate someone like that to be at that
Yeah,
status?
I think that's what's important, and I mean, I would love to do what you're saying as well, like the sort of podcasting for someone actually like for Arsenal or whoever. But I think that's where it gets a bit tricky because I want to be myself, but I know that my English isn't great, so and that's just because I'm just comfortable speaking the way I speak. Um, so for you, is that would you want to speak how we're speaking now, or do you
No,
mind being more professional?
yeah, no, I think because like we was on placement last year at BBC,
Yeah,
so they took. This is so funny you said it because it's exactly what they said to me. You know, because we did like a segment. They did like a role play segment. So obviously I was the presenter, and I was interviewing one of my colleagues, one of the
yeah,
females, and they were like, "Yo, Usman's really really good, but we're not sure about radio, you know, because he's too energetic. Like obviously the way I was delivering it, because I was like."
yeah,
Being myself and being like well, I don't use a flam. I wouldn't really flamboyant, but
yeah.
like enthusiastic, so to be turning to the
Enthusiastic,
level.
yeah,
Yeah. So they were like, we're not 100% sure. Like I probably need a bit of media training or whatever it may be. But like for me personally, I do think there are opportunities for people like ourselves. Like you said, English, you don't feel comfortable speaking in a certain way
yeah,
or in a, I personally don't. From listening to you speak, I would completely disagree with that comment because I think you're very eloquent in the way you speak actually,
yeah.
and very professional. So I would. The fact that you said that actually surprises me that you would say that because I think you're very professional in the way you
You know
speak.
what? It's because I just know that the more I speak to you and speak to like Bits and Bobs and Beaks and those guys, I know how I will eventually come out. Like this is like I speak like this pretty much most of the time because at the moment that's the sort of work I do. I have to
Yeah.
speak properly. Like there's no, I can't like sound like I just come from an estate. But yeah, like it's just interesting that obviously, like you mentioned, chunks and people like that, that they're just being their self, and
And
that's
that's
what
what I
I
mean.
like to see is that
Chunks is
I just
that's what I mean with Chunks. I think it doesn't. I don't want to use the word upset, but it does really piss me off when I see other people within our community, the ethnic minority community, bringing people like Chunks down, because
yeah
he like obviously he's not the sort of trailblazer to the extent, because obviously some other people done it prior, but you've got to champion these people, because I don't think people realize
yeah
how important they are. Because if Chunks does it, and all these mans care about is numbers and success in their eyes, which is obviously getting a lot of views, etc. And if Chunks is doing that for Sky Sports, and the raking in the numbers, which there will be now because of his internet presence, people can be like, oh shit, so this is the way forward. People are gonna
yeah
go away from that dinosaur age of, oh, we have to speak like flipping a bit posh, or upper class, so to speak, and they're gonna become more accepting of that. Whether it's for the right reasons, we'll never know. But
yeah
nevertheless, money talks in a sense. And if Chunks is bringing them in money, these ones are
yeah
gonna keep them there. Do you get what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
is it
I
with
just
the
love
right
to see it, man.
intentions? We don't know, but at the same time, it's good to see troops get the opportunity as well. Again,
Yeah, in America,
love him
yeah,
or loathe him, he's creating opportunities for people like myself and yourself, and by
yeah,
going out there and doing shit like that. And at the end of the day, I wish him all the success in the world,
yeah,
because then
all of them,
if
man.
a man like him can go on and speak the way he speaks and be accepted for who he is, especially in America, them mans are. They
Hmm.
don't have manners there. They don't. They'll tell you straight up, you're shit. You're shit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In England, we're a bit more gentle with that vocabulary, but them mans will tell you who. They'll be like, "Who's this Trump? You know what I mean? Troops guy." But yeah, so I think it's important. Like, obviously, we mentioned representation, so it's about having those people to break the mold. And honestly, with the way you speak, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. So I don't
Yeah.
see why you can't, have that aspiration of all being successful within that field. So I wouldn't put yourself down on that. There's
Yeah, no, I
way
mean,
way speaker.
I just
There's
want
way.
everyone. I just want all of you guys that I've probably known. Well, I think we only started following each other probably a week or so now,
Yeah, legit. Yeah,
and like, yeah, I just want to see everybody be happy, man, and just achieve what they're trying to achieve, man. And you're
that's
all
what it's
going
all
about
about,
it.
man.
You're all going about it in the right way, man. There's people that I don't know, like, but I'm DMing them like, congratulations on doing this and doing that. Like, that's what we want to see, man. And this is what our kids need to be seeing. Like, my
Absolutely.
daughter's only 1.5, but I need to see. She needs to be seeing people like us on TV. Like, and the funny thing is, she just loves Moana because I
Mhm.
think it just, I don't know if it just reminds her of herself. Like, so when I see that, it shows the importance of her seeing us on TV and us on
100%.
yeah on hearing us on the radio and stuff. So like I'm up for all of you guys winning, man. Whichever one's first, just keep doing what you're doing,
Yeah,
man.
that's what it is, man. We gotta uplift each other, man. At the end of the day,
Yeah,
look, no one else is gonna uplift us, and do you know what I mean? Like, we've already spoken about representation. A bit off topic here, but like Black Panther as well. That was so iconic in terms of the film.
massive.
Like
Yeah,
my personal favorite, obviously beside Avengers, but like stuff like that, like you just said about your daughter, that is not so beautiful. The fact that she relates to Moana, and you can see like that she can see herself in that. So it's the same for us guys. If we have
yeah,
dreams, if we can't see ourselves in other people, for example, the Lewis Hamiltons, or Anthony Joshua, whatever it may be, like any sort of Usain Bolt, for example, like any top black athlete, you have to be able to see yourself in those positions. And we only see that if we see people like us having that success. So long may it continue for them all, man. God bless.
yeah, man. It's just frustrating, man. Like, it's just that whole Asian thing. Like, you guys were like, not you guys. That's why I said it. I see it. I'm speaking like them, but like in school, they were so talented at football, but it's like
I
teachers
I know
wanted them
loads,
to
man. I know
play.
loads of Asian lads,
They
man. I
just
remember this.
wanted them to play cricket, and I'm just like,
Oh yeah, yeah. I
these
forgot about that.
guys,
How did I forget
these
about
guys
that?
can play
That's the
football.
most common comment. You be playing
Like, it's just
cricket.
like, it's just
Yeah,
mad. It's just mad, and I just need, or we need, just to see one in the Premiership or two in the Premiership that everybody can tell they're Asian, and
yeah.
then hopefully that breaks down some barriers. because I can't
Absolutely.
literally. It's just the guy at Leeds was at Sing, and that was like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So
I think
I
my
just
United got a Pakistani lad in their ranks. I don't know. I can't
have
remember his
they.
face. So I think he's called Iqbal actually. I know his second name is Zidane though. Funny enough, he's called Zidane, something Zidane. I can't remember his first name.
Yeah,
But he's apparently he's smashing at the moment. So like
yeah,
myself and
just
everyone
hopefully, man.
everyone that follows football in our like Pakistan community is like, yo, I
As
don't
soon as
care. I
lockdown's
support
over,
Liverpool,
they
but this guy
get
needs
down
to
there
make it.
supporting him, innit?
Like even the rival fans, like Liverpool fans, are like, yo, I don't give a shit. This guy needs to make it, man, because we need at least one player. But we'll have to wait and see.
You
But
wanted it,
it is what it is. Obviously, it's a long way until we see any Asian football sadly.
yeah.
But it's the same with managers, isn't it? Black managers as well. We need to see more at the top level.
Yeah.
We haven't really mentioned Mendy, but Mendy, how often do we get black goalkeepers at an elite level?
You know what? This was gonna be
the
that
Mandanda
was
was
gonna
the
be my
oldest.
It's just one of those things. It's just really weird because when like growing up, I played in goal,
Yeah.
and there was just like obviously David Seaman was just my hero, but there was no one. There wasn't a goalkeeper for me
Shaka
to.
Hislop's the only one I can think
It
of.
was Shaka Hislop and Bernard Lamar.
See, I don't know who that is. I know Shaka Hislop.
Used to play for he played for West Ham for a little bit, but he was a France goalkeeper for ages. But other than that, you got Dida, and then the Brazilian that played for Gomez as well. But there wasn't
yeah, the one from Watford,
that played for Spurs and then Watford. Yeah,
yeah.
There just wasn't no one. So
Is
as
Gomez
much as I
is Gomez black though? Is he like what's his?
I don't know, he's Brazilian, isn't it? So I'm just guessing. He's...
Yeah, you know what I mean, though.
Yeah.
But
I
you
was just
wouldn't
guessing.
affiliate. You know what I mean? I'm not thinking like African or like actual like.
Yeah, as much as I
nonsense.
want Mendy to do bad because he's playing for Chelsea.
No,
I'm rooting for the guy. I'm rooting for the guy. I just want this guy
I'm not saying it to Daniel
be considered as world class.
Yeah. I'm not saying it to Daniel yet, but I really hope he like reaches that world class level, man. Obviously, with
it's just one of those things. It's burning me because he's actually playing well, and I thought, there's no way this keeper's gonna come in and do well. But he's doing well, and I just only the best for him, man. Just world class, but just go play for Barcelona or something. Like just kind of just leave Chelsea.
Yeah, I hear you,
Just
but I hear you, man. Oh, shit. Yeah, that's the only time, man. If it was a Pakistani lad at Liverpool, I'm gonna have to weigh up my options. I'm gonna think,
yeah, just support them for a couple of weeks, isn't it?
Man. I can't support that, Man's bagging in goals. I'll be like, I don't know, it's a bit of a tricky one still, but we'll have to see what team he plays for in it first before making it. Oh, fair.
But Usman, man, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. It was last minute as well, and you just came on and done the business, man. Just let everybody know where we can find you, man.
Yeah, no, first and foremost, obviously, thank you for allowing me to come on, and I appreciate, like you said, lastminute.com and whatnot. But so if you just type in Usman Talks United onto YouTube or Twitter, it'll come up on either, really. So come support us. Obviously, you was on a channel not so long ago, so check out what we had to say regarding the weekend results. I do apologize in advance for the Spurs and Chelsea fan talking for about 20 minutes, but it is what it is, man. They're
happy right now, isn't it?
Yeah, obviously they're both in good spirits, and I just let these man talk and enjoy themselves and that, innit? But come show us some love. Obviously, make sure you drop a like, subscribe to Big Gunner as well. Obviously, do fantastic content. And make sure you support his content as well, man.
Please, everyone go follow Usman Talks United, UTD. Like, this guy's funny. At the moment, he's busting jokes about Arsenal and that, but next week, it's all gonna change, innit? Because it's 3-4 points off them already, and they're well up right now. So let them have their moment.
If you beat Spurs, then I'll be taking piss out Spurs, man. I don't discriminate.
Oh, man, like everybody's getting it, innit? Because at the moment,
gets it, yo. When
anyone's getting it, man.
When we lost to you guys 1-0, that show on Monday, it was the day after you just beat us.
Yeah.
I got absolutely battered. Like, that's why I'm giving it back to Arsenal. And rightfully so. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
Obviously, I was running my mouth thinking we're going to win that game. I was super confident. And then you beat us 1-0. Fantastic performance from you guys and whatnot. We were dead.
Straight after that victory, I said this is going to be pointless because I know what's going to happen, and I'm never usually negative when it comes to Arsenal, but I knew we was going to mess up the week after, and then look what happened. there was just no point beating Man United to go and lose to Aston Villa. It was just,
It was your cup final at the end of the day.
it's just
That's
like,
what it looks like at the moment, the way you guys celebrated.
but yeah, it's all banter and it's all loving it. So
yeah, 100%.
we're gonna get you back eventually sometime, innit? Give us a couple.
All
of
good,
weeks,
all good, man. Obviously, you're more than welcome back on. I think the home with all the Arsenal fan needs you because he's yeah. If you watch last week's show, he got absolutely. You got off lightly today, but because obviously
no, I'm back. I'm there whenever you want me, man.
Man's have been polite in it, but he got rinsed. So we'll have to get you back.
Thing is, it'll frustrate you guys because you see I won't be rattled in it. So
yeah, I know that's what I mean. This guy didn't care. Like, I'm not even. That's why I didn't even say shit because I was like, oh, he's not yeah. So there's not really much point trying in it. So no, it is what it is.
Thank you again, though, Usman. I've got to go to bed now, innit? Got work in the morning.
Yeah,
but I really appreciate today, man. And yeah, we've been recording for the last 2-3 hours, innit? 2 shows together.
Yeah,
so we need to get that rest in now. But thank you again, Usman, man.
No worries, bro. Thank you very much, man. God bless. Make sure you drop a like on the video
and
show him some love, guys, man.
All right, thank you, man. See you later, yeah.